Okay, my friends, if you recall, 4 days ago I did Uluru, new research stuns, and it does. And I said I would return, and I am back. Now, the strangest above strange things happened as I did this video, as you will see. Alright, so let's go into it, and you know where you are. This is the place. Don't say the words. All right, here we go. This is going to be, I'm telling you something. As I said the other day, I thought my mind was unblowable, but it's gone. it's over. Wait till you see. Okay, my friends, as always from the History Channel, excellent presentations, and we are going to follow them to Uluru. They're going to explain about the origin stories and so forth. It's a nice little presentation to get us started to understand a little bit about the history of Uluru, and they're going to talk about the serpent, and we all know about that.
Uluru Rock, also known as Ayers Rock, is located nearly in the center of the continent, over 1,200 miles from the nearest major Australian city. This geological anomaly is one of the largest isolated rocks in the world. It is over 2 miles long and rises over 1,100 feet. It is, in fact, the exposed tip of a huge vertical slab of rock that continues below the surface for 3 miles.
It is a huge sedimentary boulder that's gigantic, sitting there in the middle of the desert.
First of all, it's not sedimentary. Second of all, it's a heart. Now, they don't have any idea where it came from or how it got there because they don't account for the biology of the Earth.
And geologists cannot really explain how Ayers Rock came to be.
Never will.
It's almost as if it was lifted up from somewhere else and brought to the center of the continent and then just dumped there.
You see all this? You're going to see all cardiac muscle. That's all this is cardiac muscle below the outside layer.
For the indigenous population, Uluru is one of their most sacred sites and a place of pilgrimage. They consider it the navel of the earth.
For the Aboriginal cosmologies, a lot of times the landscape itself is sort of like the Bible and heaven rolled into one.
It is.
So in places like Uluru, Ayers Rock, this rock had great significance because they built this into their cultural memories of when the world was formed by sky.
They didn't build it into their cultural memory. It is their cultural memory. We lost the ability to understand where we live.
Spirits coming to Earth.
We laugh.
The creation stories at Uluru Rock are primarily associated with the Rainbow Serpent.
All right, well, we know about that. We've feathered serpents. We've got them in Morocco. We've got them in everywhere, literally everywhere. There's a lot of study to do.
Divine being is said to have come out of the sky at the beginning of time and held in its belly all of creation, including the first human beings.
The rainbow serpent we call Guria, and the rainbow serpent is related to all Aboriginal nations right across Australia, and it connects us all as Aboriginal people.
The serpents are everywhere around the world. Now, this is a very hard thing to understand.
I'm not sure about
Because it was regarded as a very sacred symbol of creation.
Did you hear that? That was my Alexa. I said I forget exactly what I just said, but I said something about the serpents were all around the world, and Alexa said, "I'm not sure about that." I said, "I never said her name." I'm going to tell you, this is blowing my mind, because this just adds more and more and more to what I already suspected. Now listen to this. We're talking about the rainbow serpent. Well, I found the feathered serpent. I found the one in Morocco. I found a ton of them. And everybody else is finding them too. It's not just me. I'm not bragging that I'm finding them. I'm just saying that these things have just unfolded in front of me. Now listen to this. I have one of these Alexa things here. And I never use it. And whenever I have to use it, I have to scream at it to ask it a question so that it hears me. Now, I'm facing away from it, and I'm talking into this, and you just heard me. I think I made this on my last, on this one here, I went crazy. I said, holy smokes. Now listen to what it just said. And I was in an emotional feeling when I was thinking about how all these snakes and serpents and all these things are all over the earth. Now listen to this. Listen real carefully.
The rainbow serpent we call Guria, and the rainbow serpent is related to all Aboriginal nations right across Australia. And it connects us all as Aboriginal people.
The serpents are everywhere around the world. Now, this is a very, very hard thing to understand.
I'm not sure about
Because it was
Did you hear that?
regarded as a
In the background, Alexa said, "I'm not sure about that." Just after I said, these things are found all over the world. I mean, in my mind, I'm starting to feel some doubts about things. This is serious. To understand.
I'm not sure about
because it was
I'm not sure about that. That's amazing. Listen to the way I'm talking. You know, where I'm going. You know, I'm feeling confusion in my mind about a lot of things at this instant when I'm comparing to what I see all over the earth. These gigantic serpents, and they are. There's no question what they are. So, what does that mean to my belief system? What does it mean? You know, I don't want to change anybody's belief system. I just don't know what to think now. Listen. Are everywhere around the world. Now, this is a very, very hard thing to understand.
I'm not sure about
because it was
You hear that? I'm not sure about that. And that Alexa just kicked in. Very, very. This is very disconcerting. Okay, here we go, guys. We're going to go into, this is the History Channel. Everybody loves the History Channel. They do fabulous presentations. Now, I just want to show what they are presenting so that we can get a little bit of a definition of Uluru, and I believe that's what they do here. All right, so History Channel, thank you, and here we go. And I'd love to hook up with you guys. I got a lot of information for you if you'd like it. Here goes. And we're going to give them a little commercial and everything.
Focus on the bigger issues.
Get yourself some L'Oreal from Paris.
We need a foundation.
Here we go.
Also known as Ayers Rock, is located nearly in the center of the continent, over 1,200 miles from the nearest major Australian city. This geological anomaly is one of the largest isolated rocks in the world. It is over 2 miles long and rises over 1,100 feet. It is, in fact, the exposed tip of a huge vertical slab of rock that continues below the surface for 3 miles.
It is a huge sedimentary boulder that's gigantic, sitting there in the middle of the desert. And geologists cannot really explain how Ayers Rock came to be.
I can.
It's almost as if it was lifted up from somewhere else and brought to the center of the continent and then just dumped there.
For the indigenous population, Uluru
I just want to tell you something. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is cardiac. It's cardiac muscle. When you see all the evidence I have to support this, it's just mind-boggling that everybody's just amazed. This goes on and on and on and on about everything. The answer's sitting right in front of their faces. And there's got to be people that see this. This is killing me. Here it goes.
Is one of their most sacred sites and a place of pilgrimage. They consider it the navel of the earth.
For the Aboriginal cosmologies, a lot of times the landscape itself is sort of like the Bible and heaven rolled into one.
It is.
So in places like Uluru, Ayers Rock, this rock had great significance because they built this into their cultural memories of when the world was formed by sky spirits coming to Earth.
It's 100% correct. This is the problem, is that these are the people that are the intelligent people, and we just laugh at them.
The creation stories at Uluru Rock are primarily associated with the Rainbow Serpent. This
Here you go.
divine being is said to have come out of the sky at the beginning of time and held in its belly all of creation, including the first human beings.
The Rainbow Serpent we call Guria, and the Rainbow Serpent is related to all Aboriginal nations right across Australia. And it connects us all as Aboriginal people because it was regarded as a very sacred symbol of creation.
It's related to us,
And
too.
we're in contact with told us a story about Uluru, which is quite fascinating, and that we were actually seeded from a spear from the Pleiades through space. And it actually hit the ground. And where that place was is Uluru. So Uluru in its creation story with the Rainbow Serpent could perhaps even be indicative of an ancient astronaut kind of seeding moment in our history.
Ancient astronaut theorists have long proposed that Earth was seeded by alien visitors in the remote past. Might this be true? And if so, do the Aboriginal stories reflect this truth?
When the first Europeans arrived here, Captain Phillip, who was an English sailor, planted the Union Jack in Sydney, and he asked Aboriginal people around that time, he said, "Where do you people come from?" And our people would always just point to the sky. He couldn't believe that such people who were grounded by Mother Earth say that they come from the sky world.
Might humans actually have been seeded on Earth from another planet, as the Aboriginal elders claim? And could this truth be encoded in the Australian landscape, preserved for future generations?
They got that knowledge, it boggles the mind. We have been visited by extraterrestrials.
It's pretty amazing. Okay, and then there's one last look at it in its magnificence. And let's go look at some muscle shots. I'm just going to fly through them. I got a ton of them. Okay, my friends, I'm going to point out some things that are indicative of what a heart structure looks like in the muscles and so forth. Now, these bands coming down here, they wrap right around the whole thing. And these are the pinchers, and I'll show you how it's wrapped around like a spiral. And that's how you end up with these. And this particular, you see that? The fabric of the heart, the musculature, the way it's woven in there. I'll show you what it looks like in a real heart. That's what heart muscle looks like. What we are seeing is little eroded pockets, and then you still see the structural bits around it. All right, we're going to look at biology here and geology, which is virtually the same thing. Geology is only hard biology. Now, that's heart muscle, all right? And that's the fabric of the heart. Now, let's see what it has to show in the anatomy and so forth. Now here we go again. It's all over the place. Wherever it erodes and cracks on the surface, it breaks into the heart muscle, which is that. I mean, it's just what it is. And then there's some other places where you've got some vascular stuff. Now, this, as we saw or will see, is the wrapping of the muscle. Now, this is a huge heart. This thing is like 3 miles it goes into the ground, something like that. So, and I don't know what the creature is. I have no clue. I suspect it's a reptilian, and I don't know what their heart structure is, although I think I'll check that out. Anyway, that is that's the banding, and that's how it goes. So you can pump your heart. Now, here we go, and this is the same texture you see on. Well, there it is. See? That's it. Now, and this again, it's all starting to erode away. It's a gigantic heart. I cannot account for this. Now, this is not far from there. They talked about a rainbow serpent. Now, I can't dismiss any of their Aboriginal stories, and nobody can. I can dismiss everything that I'm being told in the mainstream quite easily now. And that's just another. I understand these characteristics, and there it is. There's rock, or Uluru, which is the correct way to say it. And again, this is the heart muscle. So, and that, my friends, if you if you know what a heart looks like, that is identical to what a heart looks like. And that's our Milky Way. That's not just our planet. That is our Milky Way galaxy, which is a dot. Our local supercluster of galaxies, which is this Lanika. Every point of light in this image represents an entire galaxy and not just a star. Every one of these dots is a galaxy. That's a lot of stuff. And that, I see nothing whatsoever that was from anything that was ever dead. Everything that's dead now was once alive. And it has the ability to become alive, not just stand up and walk, although maybe it can, I don't know. But I can tell you what, those particles that are in every single thing creates more things. All right? And my feeling now is, after all of this work I've been doing and all this research and looking into all the ancient texts and looking at all the rocks and all the things that I've been studying, the only way I can see that this could possibly work with the intricacies of life itself is if every particle is intelligent. Every electron is intelligent. It has to know what to do when it is in its particular circumstance. Right? And that is already understood to some degree. There's what they call stem cells. And the stem cells are just cells that they can become anything, but they have to be among a certain number of other participants, and they have to have a directive and a motive. And something is guiding it. There's some intelligence there. There's some knowledge base there. And it's not just accidental. Well, we got 27. Well, when it hits 30, just accidentally, let's turn on to become alive. No, absolutely not. There is something that we are missing deeply. And I want to find it. Okay, my little friends, let's take a look at some muscles. This is a heart muscle. This is the banding of the heart muscle. Now, what they do is they pump blood, and it pumps one side and it pumps the other side, in and out, in and out, in and out. Now, this creature that we're looking at in Uluru, I have no clue what that creature is. I would assume it's probably reptilian, as I have showed you the, dragon scales that are right in the area there. So, or I don't know if they're right in that area or not, but there's a lot of area to cover. That heart could beat a lot of blood around a lot of places. So, the things that I found, the gigantic things, appear to be reptilian. Now, that could be, there could be other things that we don't know yet, like Tyson's spot. We don't know what that is yet. I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't. I've looked at that, and I could see, you know, membranes, and I mean, absolutely enormous. You could swim through the membrane holes, and these are the actual membranes that allow molecules into your pass through the bloodstream. Absolutely amazing. The size of these places, it's absolutely incredible. And like I saw one on I think it was a leak project. Rex was out there walking around, and he's looking at something. He's wondering whether it's a tree or what, and I think it's a blood vessel. You know, your mind just can't open up big enough to see these things. Nobody has effort. My mind is just so wide open, I guess, that I could just see them. But it's not something that most people could just, you know, and even when they see it, and in my mind, there is no way you can deny it. The only way you can do is to somehow shut off something in your mind. And that's what's happened. And it happens, the higher your IQ is, I think the easier you are to close that door, because you just think you're too smart already to be able to believe something so unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm not saying it's something everybody should just jump right onto. But if you can just walk away from it after, and I'm making good presentations. I'm going to brag a little bit because I'm showing you stuff that you can't deny it. The only way you can deny it is to run away from it. So that's my statement.